All right, good evening. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to open the July 8th meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission. First up is attendance. Ken,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
Frank is on vacation. I already know that. Peter,
Here.
Savannah,
Here, sorry, I'm sick still.
Teresa.
Yeah.
Okay, first up is the approval of minutes from June 24th. Any comments or questions? And if not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jimmy,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Savannah,
Yes,
Teresa,
Yes,
and I also vote to approve those minutes. All right, next up is DEP 313606. That's 49 Hopkins Street. And as a public hearing continued, notice of intent for the construction of a 28-foot by 36-foot detached garage and associated paved driveway extension within buffer to BVW. We had a site walk last week. And let's see, we've got John here representing the applicant.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, just we had the site walk last Thursday. We went and reviewed some of the vegetation, some of the soil holes, took a look at location of the proposed garage. One of the things that did come up during the site walk was that there were some comments from DEP. We submitted today a response to those comments, along with we talked about submitting to the commission the letter that was received by the property owner from the East Middlesex Mosquito Control, basically stating that they were going to be on the property and doing some work on basically the stream, and obviously that's how vegetation was completely had been disturbed. The wetlands have been disturbed due to that activity. But I think out on our site walk, and what we saw that certainly the vegetation has come back very strong. Also, we submitted one of the other comments from DEP was asking for some data sheets in terms of the wetlands vegetation. The botanist has attached that to that letter also. I don't think there was too much else that we discussed or was kind of left open.
Did everybody have a chance to see the letter? Both actually, the response letter and the initial letter from the mosquito control. You know, it does look as if everything was addressed, you know, with that response. Were there any questions or comments concerning either one of those items? You know, we saw it clearly. We saw the soil samples. We saw the vegetation, you know, coming back. It was pretty clear to see the difference in soils on the upland side, you know, versus the, you know, wetlands, the BVW side. All right, any general questions or comments?
can we just check with Elaine to see if she has anything to add?
Sure. Elaine? You're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I spoke with Bill Renaud, the town engineer, this afternoon, and he approved the drainage calculations. And he asked for a little bit more information on the dimensions of the infiltration structure, which I got this afternoon. So engineering is satisfied.
All right, very good. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the commission?
And Elaine, how about you?
I went to the site a couple of hours before you did last week and went over the wetlands delineation with Libby. And we dug the soil samples together. I went over the wetlands delineation handbook and wound up agreeing with her delineation on the property.
That's what I thought, Elaine. I wanted to just make sure. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, yep, no, I'm good.
Anybody else?
Did the town engineer issue a letter or anything for us, or is this just?
No, he didn't. He was in a rush. So he came up to my office and he just told me what he had found, and I noted it in the file. But there is no letter or an email, not on this one.
Okay,
He said it was very simple.
yeah, well, that's, yeah. Okay, well, as long as it's noted, I guess. Should be all right.
Jimmy, you satisfied that the response letter took care of the comments from DEP?
Am I?
Elaine or Jimmy?
Oh. I am.
Did you ask me, Bob,
Yeah, I asked you also.
if I'm okay with the letter from
Yes.
DEP? For DEP?
Yes. The response.
DEP was, you mean, am I interested in John's response to DEP's letter?
Yes.
Yes, yes, I think that's very accurate from what I saw on the sidewalk,
Yeah, I agree.
what I read in the letter.
Let's see, Ken and Teresa were also on the sidewalk.
I agree with Jimmy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fine.
Yeah. All right, if there's no further comments or questions, somebody'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ken,
Yes.
Savannah,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yes.
I vote to close the public hearing. Do we want to talk about an order?
Are we on schedule?
We actually, yes, this is the only public hearing we have.
Right.
We have a lot of other old new business, but this is the only public hearing.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess I don't have anything to say.
I can't think of any special conditions we need to add.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I did have a thought about was some way to mark the BBW line in the field like we've been doing recently. You know, on a perpetual basis,
Oh,
or maybe there's no need for that here. What do you think?
but mosquito control is gonna come in and cut down more, right? So how is that gonna work?
Mosquito control came in and yeah, they cleaned out the brook and
No, but they'll do it again in the future, so we don't wanna have,
well, I know that, but they're gonna do that all over town anyways. That's what they do.
Yeah, you couldn't put a barrier that would block their access,
yeah.
but you could put something like signage or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd probably be appropriate.
You know, a few, 2 or 3 markers or signs just to designate the area?
Yeah,
Is that
How
what you're
does that-
thinking?
How does that work on a single family home? You know, in a commercial home, you put a commercial property, you put up a sign. Do you put up the same kind of a sign in somebody's backyard?
Well, we've done it before. We actually just recently voted to do it on, oh, right behind the church, that street.
Yeah, but didn't we
Oh, yeah.
put it on a
Yeah.
split rail fence? Something that is more backyard-ish for a single family home? Do you know what I mean?
We've done granted, bounds, markers. We've done small signs. We've done split rail fences.
yeah. I mean, the sign is a small sign. It's not, it's like the width of a post, isn't it?
So like it would be just a post in the middle of the backyard.
Or
Well-
at the.
well, really-
yeah, At
really-
the edges.
It's
When the
not a-
posts get taken out.
It's really in the BVW line, which they don't, shouldn't be out there anyways. That's where you're putting it. You're not putting it in the middle of their usable lawn or, yeah.
No, I mean, it's there in the backyard, that's all.
I know it's in the backyard, but it's something that's gonna keep on their mind that there's something back there they shouldn't be touching.
So you want a wooden post?
I don't care how you do it, Elaine. I'm just saying that there should be a way to mark or delineate that line for the future, because those people may not be living there that long. They could move tomorrow.
So when I write up the condition, should I write it up such that the homeowner comes back with something he'd like to see before the certificate of compliance is issued?
There's nothing wrong with that. You should make it as appealing as possible to them, I would think.
All right, so
We have
so
those,
he
we
can
had
select what he
markers.
wants. What?
do we have markers? We had a whole bunch of signs with like a beaver on them or something like
Yep,
that.
I have one right here. My house. Somewhere.
Now, the actual edge of wetland though, there was still a vegetated area between the edge of lawn and the wetland, wasn't there?
Yes, there's a
So-
strip of what is now jewelweed.
Yes,
That's upland.
that's right.
Yeah.
So
So-
these signs would actually be buried between, the vegetation.
In the summer, once the first frost hits,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But, okay, so do you want me to say there shall be a demarcation line at the edge of the wetland? Property owners shall determine what I'll clean up the language, what he's looking for and come back to the Conservation Commission with his choice.
Right.
Okay,
You can
Jimmy,
give
these-
them,
Jimmy, the sign you had is just a small metal plaque that sticks on a post, right?
Should we say it comes back to the commission, or can we say the commission's agent, and then have to come before us?
We could say that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, Teresa. Could you speak in your microphone?
I said, do we say they have to come back to the entire commission, or just come back to the Conservation Commission agent?
Oh, yeah, I think that the agent is fine.
Yes.
Okay,
I have one around here somewhere.
But Jimmy, it was just a metal,
There was a metal sign that had a beaver on it, and it said, I don't know, Elaine ought to know, she put up 1 million of them out there.
and it would stick on a post, right?
They put them on a post,
Yeah.
like a 4x4 or 6x6 post, just a vertical post standing there by itself. I don't think it was very intrusive.
So what do you want? One at each end, or one at each end and one in the middle, or?
Well, if that area is a pretty straight area and there's no jogs and stuff like that, I would think one on each end would make sense.
yeah, that would make sense. And then if he does each side of his lot, he's got 2 points, connecting a line. And that would make a lot of sense because it would be kind of tucked away and it would be on the side of his lot and it wouldn't be sticking up in the middle of nowhere. Okay,
Okay, that sounds good.
all
All
right.
right, so we have a standard order of conditions plus that one condition for the signage in 2 locations. Is there anything we want to strike from the standard order? I know we've been talking about snow storage.
Is that a situation where the snow would be naturally plowed right to the back of the lot? I mean, can we just put up a map? When you have those side entry, garages, that tends to suggest you just run the plow all the way back to the back of the property.
Yeah, that's what would likely happen right off the edge of the
We
driveway.
have to put up any chance we could put up the, I don't know if it's possible to do, but
John should have it.
I can put it up, but I'm blocked from
Oh,
sharing.
sorry.
and maybe it's far enough away. I just don't recall the.
All right, John, you should be clear.
Can you enlarge that a little bit, or there we go.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
working.
Okay. So how far is the back? How far is the back of the where the diagonals are? What is that? That's the info.
Yeah, the cross hatching is the storage infiltration trench.
Right, this line here, the dash, double dash and dot, that's the 25 foot to give you maybe some reference. So
So we're well outside. So even if the plow went and just pushed everything off to the right side of the driveway, it would still be well.
Yeah,
back
you
25
probably
foot.
have over 100 feet straight
yeah, I mean,
back.
this is the 100 here.
Yeah, okay.
So it's, it's probably 50, it's kind of in between, probably about 50 feet or so.
Yeah, okay. So does that strike anyone as problematic? It doesn't strike me as problematic.
No, it's gently sloping. It's clear. There's no wetland.
Mhm.
So you go way back. And your plow would go straight back from the driveway.
But it is clear that the plow, the natural thing for the plow to do is
They're
to,
gonna come straight down the driveway and keep going
Yeah.
straight and push it right over
Yep.
the trench.
Yeah, especially with the, this slopes all down, so
Yeah.
you're not gonna push it up the hill.
So yeah, it's all gonna be stored right around that proposed erosion control line between that and the edge of pavement, that whole area.
okay.
Which even if you draw a straight line from the erosion control line straight back, the wetland is actually kind of curving away.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I don't, it's gonna melt, some of it's gonna infiltrate right into the trench. The only thing is that condition does say within 100 feet. So clearly you'd be less than 100 feet anywhere in that area after the trench.
Just so you know, the DEP requirements for snow storage, although they do require some kind of like filtration, snow, hay bale line is 50 feet. But they want a little something in front of it, but that's for commercial storage of parking lots and where you're likely to pick up a lot of debris.
Yeah.
So, just so you know, DEP is 50 feet, and this would be presumably relatively clean snow.
50 feet from the BBW?
Yeah, that's what DEP snow storage has, snow storage requirements, although, as I said, they do require like a row of hay bales between the snow and the resource area. But that's because they anticipate commercial snow storage, which picks up a lot of debris, whereas this is just a driveway.
Yeah,
So the closest point from the corner of the garage near the opening to the, let's see, to the BVW lines, to get 25 feet there, 35, 40, I don't know, you're probably 40.
It's
something,
just over 50, Bob.
Close to 50?
It's just over 50, yeah.
All right, perfect. So if we edit that condition and say within nothing further than 50 feet, we should be good. Or not closer than,
That would allow him to store snow at the bottom of his driveway.
correct. Let's just see how the condition reads right now.
Number 57.
So it says within 100 feet. So this would be within, there would be snow storage within close to 50. How do we want to word that to be safe and clear?
Didn't Ken just say it was 50 feet? The size, so,
So, for example, the top right corner of the garage to wetland flag 2 is 56 feet.
so we have to say more than, I mean, we have to say within 40 feet? How many feet do you want to give for snow storage, I guess? I don't know.
I mean, it's not going to go closer than the edge of lawn. You know, you wouldn't want to be driving a plow across.
Yeah, there's no way. it would
You'll
go
be
over
sinking
that.
in, you'll be,
That's, they would never go that far.
yeah, you'd be destroying the lawn, you'd be sinking in. Yeah, if we say within 40 feet would be fine. That would give enough clearance and plenty of storage space. I think that would work.
You got that, Elaine?
I got it.
We're just gonna edit condition 57 to be 40 instead
Okay,
of 100.
okay.
Anything else from anyone? All right, would somebody like to make a,
just one more thing. I think, how would you, if you're gonna put those 2 posts, how would you do the 2 posts? That makes sense, because this does have a curve in it. I don't know if we possibly need 3 posts. Does anyone have an opinion on that?
I would put one somewhere between wetland flag 1 and 2, close to the
Yeah.
property line.
And then maybe one down at, say, I think it's 4. And that might be far enough out. It's 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah,
And they're already marked out there, so it'd be a perfect time to do it.
So you
Right.
want 3 posts?
I think so, Elaine.
Okay,
Yeah. That's my last comment.
So I promise I won't ask this again, but when mosquito control comes down, how are they gonna, they just have to avoid those posts?
there's enough gap between them to go, you know, between the posts.
They can drive right between them, and their equipment is not huge.
Okay,
Made for doing small brooks and stuff like that. I mean, I think they can handle, I think that'll work out.
okay.
I feel like that wouldn't be an issue.
You want these to be granite posts? You want to be pressure treated?
Well, we already decided we're gonna let the homeowner have some say in it.
Okay,
I think that's the right way to go with it.
all right, that's fine.
And Elaine can help guide them in that direction. Maybe I think we have a lot of those signs still we could use somewhere. Elaine, do we have any of those signs left?
oh, yes, I'm sure we do.
Yeah, I thought we had like 50 of them.
Yeah, we should have enough left.
Okay. So we can offer that. Okay,
All right, so we have a standard order of conditions plus the additional condition to put 3 markers somewhere around,
at points 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 4.
well, one's actually off the property.
All right. Go ahead.
So you would need to be close to the property line and then between 2 and 3 and then 4.
Okay, one at the property line, one at the
Between-
property line.
Yep, one between flags 2 and 3. And then one at flag 4. That'll give you equidistant spacing.
Yeah, but that does not follow the shape of the BBW.
What do you mean? We're right on the wetland flags.
Where do you want to put them again?
So at the property line,
At the property.
where it's between wetland flag 1 and 2 essentially. Yep.
Yeah,
Then somewhere between flags 2 and 3,
all right,
and then one at flag 4,
okay.
right?
All right, yep,
Make sense?
yep,
So it's at flag 1 at the property line, between 2 and 3, and at flag 4. I got that right?
Yeah, well, flag 1's actually off the property, so, the first marker would be between flag 1 and 2 at the property line.
Okay,
All right?
yep.
All right, so we have a standard order of conditions. We have additional condition to add those 3 markers. And we are also editing condition 57 to state not closer than 40 feet for snow storage. Would somebody like to make a motion? Those conditions.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Ken,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yep,
Teresa,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Savannah,
Yes.
and I also vote yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for public hearings. The rest of the items are old and new business. I guess we'll take them in order that they appear. First up is 26 Shady Ave. Is that your lane or is that Jimmy or
Well,
update?
the last we left this, we had sent, we were still trying to sort out the wetlands delineation line. So we had a plan that showed distances away from the house. And then I thought that Ken had some issues with it, so I sent the information to Ken. Ken sent back another plan, asked if that looked good. It looked good to me. I then sent it to Jim. And I think that using the plan that Ken sent would be the wetlands delineation line where we want things planted behind it. That's my understanding of the situation. So if everybody agrees, I can go back to Mr. Bean with this and get that planting going. So it was sort of one last thing that needed to be done.
But Elaine, I think a meeting that you were not present, we had a discussion of the fact that, I believe it was this homeowner, right, Bob? Asked for more time to deal with this.
Yeah, a few meetings ago, I forget when that was.
He
Um,
was supposed to come to this meeting.
He was, Judy?
Yeah, he asked
Hey.
for more time and it was to this meeting.
Hey, Ken, can you, any way you could show where the Ken line is?
Please don't call it that, but, I'm looking.
we did review that before though.
We did.
No, I
We've already done that.
I knew that we were fritzing around with the line. I'd just be interested in seeing where the, I just want to confirm in my own mind that it's sort of ran on that big tree was sort of right on the line. I think that was one of the markers.
But Judy, can I just ask you, so he said he was coming tonight, is that?
That was what he was supposed to come to this meeting. I don't know what happened.
I can't find it.
Okay, so I, has everybody seen it?
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, that's it.
So that was hard. That's hard to look at the relative to, we had looked at something where we had those, some trees and some, was that approximately was it pretty much right what we were talking about when we had the meeting? Because I thought it was, we were looking at those old photos and we were trying to pick a line that brought it up to where, that no disturb line to where, to what looked like had been undisturbed along, just even a few years ago, like 5 years earlier.
So I think where we left it was Elaine and Jimmy went out after
Okay,
that discussion and then took a look at it and took their ties off of the building.
and Jim, was it approximately there? Remember the big tree that
Well,
was
I don't know where,
across? We were drawing lines, just,
I drew a line that I thought averaged it out. That's how I did it. I
Okay.
took 2 points that I thought made sense and kind of averaged out the difference between what
Okay.
was filled and what wasn't.
Okay, then I accept that. Then if you did that, then I'm not gonna quibble with the,
You're tough,
But that-
Peter.
but isn't the goal here though, that's gonna mean that if this is really not disturbed in back of that over time, if you took an aerial, it wouldn't look that much different than what this looked like 5 years ago. That's all I'm trying to, that really is what what was interesting to me would be that there would be that type of restoration.
So when Jim and I went out there, he had already taken some stakes and put them in the ground and they were already sprouting.
Yeah.
And it has been good weather for plants. So I think if he continues with that, in addition to just leaving it alone, he should get a fairly decent restoration back there. And I think if we work out a system whereby we check it maybe in the fall and again in the spring, we can keep an eye on it until it's back to where it should be, particularly because he's not getting it professionally planted. So he needs a little more care and attention.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
I was just going to say, I'm assuming that we're using Jim's offset line because it can be marked back to the house. And if we have that, we can get him to put in the willow stakes and whatever other stakes he may get and just watch them grow.
And the other thing I like about doing this like this is that it's easy to put back those endpoints. And then you could really stand on one point and look at the other point and see if he's going further into the wetland or if it's moved at all. The other thing too, I thought we talked about was having him buy a couple of plants at least so that he's invested in some money on, vegetation that he should want to take care of.
Okay.
Does anyone remember that? That's what I'm recalling.
Yes,
Yeah, we had, and he bought some blueberry plants. And, I could also talk to him about that. It's at a time of year when he can get some things on sale. he can get some more. So do you want me to just, now that we have the line confirmed, go down and talk to him and get this moving?
It seems like it would be a perfect time the way the weather is.
Okay, I'll give him a call and we'll set something up and we'll get it, I'll get it going.
Okay, so do we in agreement that he's gonna buy, I don't know, a couple of trees or something to put in there, or is that too much? I don't,
Well, and where are you talking about putting them?
well, somewhere
Along that line?
along that line, yeah.
Rebecca had volunteered to develop a planting plan for him. Something that would have reasonably priced plants so that he'd have a guide to go by. I think that's a good idea.
Would he be planting on the buffer zone side then of the?
Wherever you tell him to,
What?
wherever you tell him to.
Yeah, well, I would think that we would want him to plant on the buffer zone side. Some of the bigger trees. Like I think it could do with a couple of trees out there. I think it's big enough space where it would offer some temperature control to the brook and some shading and those characteristics.
Right, he could have a birch or something like that that grows quickly and
Yeah.
is inexpensive.
That's a nice idea. I like that. So I can talk to Rebecca. We can put together a plan and the next step, I think we're ready to actually start implementing it. So I'll talk to Rebecca. I'll get in touch with Mr. Bean and we'll start the process. And perhaps I think what we should do is have a fall and spring check-in until we're satisfied.
Yeah,
Okay.
That
everyone
sounds
in
good.
agreement?
Yep.
Okay,
All right,
So,
Elaine, you ready to move on? All
Yes.
right, so we got 47 Montrose Ave, update on enforcement order.
Okay, so the last I spoke with that property owner, he had a serious family illness and he was in the process of getting the property surveyed to get it going. And he had asked for a little bit more time to the end of the month. And so I had an arrangement to talk to him the 1st of August, and that's where we left it.
Okay,
okay. Have you walked the property at all?
Yes, I've been on the property.
Have you been on the back side behind the house?
Yes, I have.
Well, isn't there a couple of truckloads of material that was dumped there?
Yeah, they're just kind of sitting there.
Okay. Was there two truckloads? They look like big.
Yeah,
loads.
I would say 2 truckloads. I saw 2 mounds.
And they're not in the wetland?
Oh, no, they're not at all. When I spoke to him originally, the one thing that I insisted on was that he put a row of hay bales at the bottom of the slope. So
Right.
that wetland has got erosion control all around it.
Well, it looked like those piles have been there for quite a while. I didn't think they were a recent addition.
No, they have been there for a while, but the wetlands are protected and that is maybe 40 feet away from the edge of the wetland
Okay,
on a flat surface.
okay.
all right. Next up is 39 Coolidge Park.
Okay, let me just make my note here. Okay, so that one is it started out as a request for an enforcement order, but in the time between when that was put on the agenda and now, I've had an opportunity to speak with the property owner. He has given me his attorney's name, and today I spoke with John Ogren about getting an as-built plan done. So the story behind it is this. He has an outstanding order of conditions for an addition in the back, plus a garage, which was done. And he never got a certificate of compliance for it. About a month or so ago, he started to do more construction there. And the a complaint went into the building department. He didn't pull a building permit either. And the building inspector issued him a cease and desist. So I went out to visit him last Friday, and he has stopped. And I explained to him his situation, and I said to him what he needed to do was to get an as-built plan so we could, and this is the solution I think we should do, give him a partial certificate of compliance so he still has an outstanding cloud on his title. And then come back with a new notice of intent for the remainder. The old order is so long, it's just completely expired. So he called John Ogren. I spoke with John. John said that he had ordered him to go ahead. He gave me the name of his attorney. His attorney called the office. I called him back. We haven't been able to talk to one another, but it appears to me as if he's making good faith effort to get this taken care of through an engineer and paying an engineer and paying an attorney. And he still has a cease and desist from the building department. So we have a certain amount of leverage in this. So I'm thinking that I can just go ahead without an enforcement order for the time being.
Elaine, isn't there a limitation on, a time limitation on when we could issue a certificate of compliance for an old order of conditions?
No, there's no time limit on that. Otherwise, people would never get certificates of compliance. People let this stuff slide until they want to sell the house. I've had commissioners issue orders of conditions 20 years later when they go to sell the house and somebody does a title search. So there's no time limit on a certificate of compliance.
There's a limit on, there's a time limitation on doing the work.
Yes.
Yes,
Where is this again?
39 Coolidge. So I'm looking at it right now. Elaine, you're saying it was an addition?
There was an addition, the original plan, which was 2001, called for an addition to the back of a basically rectangular house, making it a longer rectangle, and a garage to the side.
There's a pool also, a very large in-ground pool, it looks like, in
No,
back
I
of the
don't-
addition.
Bob, can you have a picture you're looking at?
I'm looking on my phone on Google Maps.
No.
Well, therein lies the new notice of intent.
Yeah,
So he gets a partial for what he did before. And then once we get that taken care of, he has to bring himself up to date. And that's where the new notice of intent comes in. So the as-built plan serves the purpose of closing out the old file and becoming the proposed plan for the new notice of intent.
But the work is all done?
The work that he started about a month ago is not finished because the building inspector stopped it.
What about
was that work?
But whatever he has done in addition to the garage and the addition, he's done some yard work, some patio work back there.
Yeah,
That would be the part that's after the fact. And when I spoke with John, I said, in addition to an as-built plan, just showing what's there, I said I also wanted his opinion as an engineer as to how well it drained. So we get some information as to how pervious or impervious it is and how good the drainage there is there. So we have something we can go by in terms of drainage.
that Coolidge Park.
39, it's at the-
hang on, I've got it coming up now.
it's at the end of the cul-de-sac. It's bigger than the other houses and it's a very large rectangle.
Should be able to see
No, that's
that.
not it. That's not it.
Oh,
Go all the way to the end of the cul-de-sac. I think it's been misidentified. Keep going to the end. That's it. With the solar panels on top. That's the house.
Oh,
It's
I remember
misidentified on the
this.
plan.
yeah, this was before us. Yes,
Yeah,
Jimmy, you must remember this.
I'm trying to remember it. I'm having a little trouble.
Well, yes, 20 years ago.
Christine Odiaga had a lot of involvement with this one.
Yeah, I do remember this property.
There are a number of enforcement.
Hmm.
So Elaine, I'm again, I know I was confused about the certificate of compliance, but how can we issue, doesn't the certificate of compliance go to the order of conditions that was issued?
Yes,
And
it does. Yes,
so-
it does. But that's why you don't give him a full certificate of compliance. You give him enough so that he gets his title problems sorted out. So I have to talk to his attorney about this, but the way I envision it is he gets a partial certificate of compliance for the addition and the garage. And then he comes back for a after the fact notice of intent, plus a current notice of intent for that awning he's in the process of building. And then he gets a full certificate of compliance for the other project and a certificate of compliance for the new notice of intent, for the new order of conditions.
Hmm.
So he gets a partial, and he gets 2 certificates of compliance for the first project. The partial and then the full, and then he gets a certificate of, 1 certificate of compliance for the second order.
So he's not gonna get the two fulls until he files the new order of notice of intent.
Exactly. And that's our leverage.
And the partial is gonna say it's a partial only with respect to, and again, this is the part that's a little bit confusing to me, only with respect to what came before us. But of course, that's the case. What else?
Exactly.
Nothing else came before us.
So anyway, this is what I want to talk about to his attorney. It makes sense to me. But it would be good to talk it over with his attorney, just to sort of talk over the way this would proceed. But that's the way I envision it.
But the leverage, though, with a certificate of compliance is if he's going to sell it. If he's going to live there forever, he could care less about the certificate of compliance.
Well, that's the other thing, is that he has to get, he needs, I think he should get the partial certificate of compliance before he commences work on the new project. We can make that part of the order of conditions. No work shall commence until the order of conditions for the first order is recorded, or the certificate of compliance for the first order is recorded.
Mhm.
And the other thing about this is he's got to cease and desist
Well, no, that's
with the planning board and not the planning board, the building department. And I do not think the building department will go forward unless he's got an order of conditions with the Conservation Commission. So there are a couple of different pressure points here.
Okay,
Yeah, if you've got other ideas, I'm happy to hear them. This is just the way I thought to solve the problem, but there may be other ways to solve
have
the
you talked to
problem.
the owner about this, or is you just going
Yes.
through the engine, the
No,
lawyer?
I talked to him. I talked to him for at least half an hour, 45 minutes last Friday.
Okay,
And when I talked to him, he said, yeah, that's good. Just call my lawyer and call the engineer and sort it out.
okay,
And that's where I left it with the owner.
all right.
What was the owner's name, Elaine?
Reska. I
Yes,
forget his
yes.
first name, but his last name is
Yes.
Reska.
Yeah, Jimmy,
That
there was
sounds
clearing
familiar.
and work in the backyard here, and then he was starting to build an addition. Yeah. There's a shed, I think, back here also.
Hmm.
I remember the enforcement order.
Well, the name sounds familiar to me.
And we
Sure.
could get some additional landscaping back there. We could make sure that the patio that he installed actually drains properly, which is, I had a long talk with John about this afternoon. John Ogren will be doing the as-built plan. So I told him we needed an engineer's eye
John
towards
Ogren is still on.
patio. What?
John Ogren is still on.
Oh, he is? Well, I
Yep.
talked to John this afternoon. So John will also, when the notice of intent is filed, John will give us an engineer's viewpoint on how well that patio drains. I asked him for that and he agreed to do that.
All right, it sounds like you have a plan that's pretty well thought out.
Okay,
I don't know, how does everyone else feel?
Sounds reasonable.
Yes, I agree.
okay, so at this point, we're just waiting for the as-built plan. So when we get the as-built plan, we'll be able to take the next step after that. So I talked to John and John said, I think mid-August, something like that, by the time his firm has time to get to it.
Yeah, we should be able to have it, first week or so of August.
Yeah,
Okay,
All right. Next up is, are you ready to move on, Elaine?
just let me make that last note. Okay, yes, I am.
All right, so next up is 3 Stony Hill Lane, request to show commission a plan. I recall that we did see a plan before with a pool that was within 20 feet of the wetlands line, I think, last time.
Yes, and I think Rebecca sent you a copy of a new proposed plan.
yeah, I can't get that on my phone for some reason.
Hi, Bob, Elaine, this is Kyle Purdy. I'll be representing the applicant. I have it handy if I could share my screen. if
Yes,
that's
please,
you guys.
please do.
We have the drawing somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's coming.
Can you see
Okay.
everything okay?
Got it.
So, yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Elaine.
All right, we'd like to review the changes from the original plan.
Yep. So since with this project, we are not only dealing with the Conservation Commission, but we're also dealing with the Zoning Commission as well to make sure that we satisfy their zoning setbacks for an accessory pool. But we were able to shorten the width of the pool and pull it back further from the BVW line. So now this is the retaining wall here. We pulled the back even further. We pulled the retaining wall back. And now we have 22 feet right here from W1-5 and then 20 feet from W1-4. And the only reason we don't go further towards the roadway is because now we don't satisfy needs from the Zoning Commission. So we felt like this was a good compromise between the two.
Is that actually gonna be the shape of the pool, or is this just?
Yep. So originally we were doing a rectangular shape, but after speaking with the property owner, they were satisfied with getting a smaller pool. So as that it's actually permitted.
Do you have a detail for the wall that you'd have to construct?
I don't have it on me. Mike is also on the call. Mike, was there a specific detail you had already from speaking with the proposed contractor?
I was just going to be a shea block wall. So there's going to be a retaining wall made out of shea block.
Okay.
Out of shade block, what is that? Well, is it approved by the building inspector? You're going over 4 feet in height, correct? I mean, you must be like 10 or 12 feet in height.
I think
I think I'd have to see some more detail on this wall construction and the footing installation and the impact of that.
Okay. The one question I did have is, was there any other concerns with filing the original RDA that we've since moved the design further back from the BVW line?
Is there any other concerns about it?
Yep. And the project as a whole, or any other questions I can answer tonight?
We never reviewed that BBW line, right, Jimmy? We just kind of walked over there, but.
We had Elaine went and verified the line.
She did.
I believe she did. Did you, Elaine? Are you there?
I spoke with Rebecca and she did, according to Rebecca.
Okay, we lost Elaine.
Yep. It was a pretty easy delineation. It's mostly kind of TOA slope along the bottom of the property. You can see how it's steeply sloping. And we took the higher side.
Did you do any clearing down there?
Nope.
Are
So
these
this is
recent
a
pictures?
clear maintained lawn right here. There is some small sumacs in kind of this corner right here. And then we'll be clearing these tiny shrubs in order to install our erosion and sediment control and have enough space for installation of the retaining wall kind of up here.
You know what would be interesting is to have the trees marked out on this plan because there is a canopy issue here.
So they're all less than 6-inch DBH, but what's the canopy issue?
Well, the issue is that the trees provide control over water temperature and shading.
Yep, so there's no trees to be cleared within the BVW boundary. These are all upland. So these are all on this
I
side.
know, well, that's just as bad.
What do you mean?
Well, those trees offer protection as well.
Okay, but they're not protected underneath the WPA because
Why
they're
aren't they?
transitional trees.
They can be protected. You have to show to us that it's not providing any value.
But it's an upland tree.
That's all right. You should be on the upland side. You're within the buffer zone?
Yeah,
Okay, well, that says it right there.
so are you trying to take jurisdiction over the buffer zone?
We're not trying to take jurisdiction.
Tax to
We have-
BVW. Or riverfront area or BLSF or bank. It's all upland of the BVW line. It's
That's all right. But you have to show us that the alterations you're gonna make in the BVW will
Yep.
not alter the resource.
right.
That's what you're not showing right now.
In the buffer zone.
So right now it's all in the buffer.
I understand.
So are
Yeah.
the trees greater than 6 inches coming down within the buffer zone?
Nope. They're all less. They're all sumacs. So not that one, but here, where was that? So yeah, just these ones along the lawn edge.
Which one?
These 5 right here. And then these are located in this area, kind of close to wetland delineation flag W1-7.
Did you meet the zoning board requirements with this change?
Mike, I believe we do, because we pulled it back this way, but we didn't pull it far enough that we no longer meet their offset requirements.
I think that was going to be the next step. So I think we're taking this in 2 steps here. We're trying to get approval from the Conservation Commission, and then once we get that, then we have the ability and some leverage to go to the zoning board. So this was step one of two, because I think what we're gonna end up doing is this one, the left hand's gonna say, did you talk to the right hand? And then the right hand's gonna say, did you talk to the left hand? So we're talking to you guys first.
I think Bob's question is, do you need zoning relief? In other words, the way it appears now, do you meet the setback or the requirements as is? Or do you need relief?
I believe so.
You meet the zoning requirements, so you don't need relief.
I believe so, yes.
So then you don't have to go back to the zoning board of appeal if you don't need relief.
Well, we certainly want to be transparent with our work. And when we start installing a privacy gate, you know, right next to the roadway, we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And certainly we wanted to come before the commission for the higher priority with the projects to meet all the WPA standards before going to the zoning.
So this is just a discussion at this point, correct? So
Yep.
there's
We can
no
provide-
request for determination in front of us.
Yes, yep. Yeah, we'll certainly go back and provide a detail of exactly what we want to do with the retaining wall and provide it to the commission.
Any pool that would go in, we would want to see a cartridge type filter. It
Okay,
would not require back flushing.
okay.
I think you're getting ahead of yourself because
Well, I just want to give them a heads up.
I think you have to deal with the vegetation first. And yes, we have control over the trees in the buffer zone, especially within that range.
The question
Well,
is, removal of those trees considered work within the buffer zone, right? So.
Yes, yep.
Are any of those trees providing canopy to the wetland, I guess is the question.
But they certainly are.
They are, but shade isn't a protected resource underneath the WPA
It is protected. Why do you keep saying that?
because where in the WPA does it say shade? In an-
Well,
You
it doesn't need to
have
say
read
shade
the ma-
because it could result in an alteration to the wetland by removing the canopy.
No, it's going to be falling backwards towards the upland area. There's not going to be any brush or timber that goes into the BVW protected resource.
But yeah, that's, I guess, not the point I was trying to make. The shade the trees may currently be providing, could be providing canopy to the wetland, and removal of that canopy could result in an alteration to the environment. More sun, less shade could result in drying up or alteration. That's where Jim's
I
point was
believe
going.
that it's not a physical alteration of wetland because it's not earth disturbing, it's not dredging, excavating, altering as per the WPA requirements.
But the question is, it could result in an alteration. We would want to see, I guess, we'd want to see the trees marked, especially anything over 6 inches.
Yep, they're all in the wetland area and we're avoiding them. So it's just these smaller ones that are kind of in the mowed lawn area, as well as the sumacs over here along the edge, but the BVW edge is about 10 feet in here. But we could certainly mark those, but they're all less than 6-inch DBH.
So is it possible for someone to pull up our tree policy?
It's just load in here. Yep. Was there a certain part?
So again, again, it's a jurisdictional area and we do have jurisdiction over the buffer zone, right?
No, it's respectfully, no, it's under the WPA, your resources are bank, BVW, riverfront area, bordering land subject to flooding, land underwater, LS, CSF. We have none of those. All we have is BVW, and we're not encroaching or dropping trees within the BVW line.
Regulations say that activities within the buffer zone, any activity other than minor activities
Yep,
proposed or undertaken within 100 feet of an area specified in the act,
yep.
which in the judgment of the issuing authority will alter an area subject to protection, is subject to regulation. That is giving us the authority.
Right.
So, but what are you defining alter as? Alter to me is,
Oh, there's a definition for alter, that's in the regulation.
yeah,
It includes the destruction of vegetation.
Mm,
I mean, are we really getting into is this conversation sort of getting into why do we even have a 25-foot no disturb policy?
No.
I'm kind of feeling like this is sort of putting into question why we even have, why, is it not based on science or something? And I'm just noticing from the, that that sort of sounds like what we're talking about now. I mean, we're kind of going back to what we had, we had talked at length about the importance of of maintaining, there's 100-foot buffer and the last 25 feet are especially sensitive. There's a lot that's going on within there's a lot that's going on, within the 25 foot actual construction in the 25 foot. And then, and then taking out all the vegetation, all of the trees in that 25 foot, it just strikes me as we're just going over something that I think has just been settled with this commission. I mean, unless exceptional I could see situations where it's on the north slope and there's no vegetation, it won't support vegetation. None of that is true. None of that is the case here. I mean, there's not anything that suggests here that the particular facts suggest that this has less, that there's less to be concerned about for this than there would be for other properties. In fact, going out and doing the sidewalk, it seems like there was more. I don't know what I don't know what the rest of you think, but this is an improvement, obviously, over the prior plan. But it's not consistent with our guidelines, and I'm not hearing anything that's.
I think the bottom line is it's still within our jurisdiction.
Pardon me?
I think the bottom line is it's still within our
Of course, it's within our. I mean, it's
Well, I
absolutely.
think that's the point.
Well, the
What's
intent is to have it
What I
20.
wanna hear is why this particular situation, why the science in this particular situation suggests that in a normal situation, there would be concern, but not here because, and then fill in the blank. And I'm not hearing anything that suggests that. And in fact, sidewalk kind of suggested the opposite, that buffer zone was actually doing a lot to protect the adjacent wetland.
Yeah, the intent here was to have, originally when the house was built, was to have a 20-foot no disturb. I know we've since moved to 25, but at the time it was 20. So a 20-foot no disturb, that would mean no alteration within that 20 feet areas to the buffer zone.
And that was applicable to the house. At that time, did we talk about swimming pools?
And here, I mean, we're talking about not only are you doing the pool, not only are you rebuilding in
The retaining wall, yeah.
but then there's also, between 20 feet and the wetlands, taking all the trees out. All of them, as I recall. Everyone. I don't know, it just seemed like this was just it seemed like almost it just seems like it's inevitable that this is going to impact that wetland. I don't know if you all agree or not.
I didn't go on the last sidewalk, though I was at the property in the original filing.
It's a pretty unique piece of property, and I think it is worth, I mean, I think I will agree that everything stands on its facts and circumstances. And I mean, and that's one of the things that having it as a policy and not as a rule that will never alter, that we have some flexibility to consider, whether there's circumstances that suggest that there are things that make this less concerning to us.
Are those trees creating buffer, creating a canopy for the wetland? I don't know.
Well, it's up to the applicant to prove that at the time of filing.
Yeah, I wasn't out there to look at it. Jimmy, you saw it, right? Peter, you saw it.
Yes. And Teresa, you were there, right?
No, I did not make it.
I
Yeah.
thought,
I would absolutely suggest that if we're gonna give this further consideration, that I think that this was one where I think it was particularly instructive to see the property. I mean, again, this is the facts and circumstances.
I would also think that the main function and value of a buffer zone is maintaining the infiltration prior to the wetland, so that sediment runoff or stormwater runoff can infiltrate properly. So we have the maintained lawn already, and we're maintaining the infiltration rate with the retaining wall and leaving the mowed area behind it as is. So I could certainly see taking down trees in the buffer zone causing impacts because they're not infiltrating at the right weight and turning into an impervious. But in this scenario, it's maintained mowed lawn area.
are you saying
Opportunity to collect sediment.
is there will there be mowed lawn behind the retaining wall on the wetland side or within the fenced pool area?
Both. So there will be inside of the retaining wall, so towards the street, as well as in the back side of the wall between that and the wetland boundary,
Okay.
because that's what's existing today. So we want to maintain that.
I don't think there's anything left to say.
Yeah, I do want to see it again, I guess.
I think the burden is on the applicant to prove to us that the work that he wants to perform will not alter the resource area. And if you look under the definition of alter, alter means to change the condition of any area subject to protection of the act. And some examples are the changing of pre-existing drainage characteristics, flushing characteristics, salinity, distribution, sedimentation patterns, flow patterns, flood retention water, the destruction of vegetation, changing water temperature. There's a lot that makes up an alter to a resource. I think you have to,
Let me pull up a Google Earth on it or Google Maps so you can see the trees.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, Ken's going to share his screen.
So what I remember is this chunk of trees right here, this group of sumacs, which looks like sumacs. So Bob, it was in this grassy area right here that's proposed. And there's a steep drop off down to the wetland below. So I remember this big chunk of trees right here near the existing, between the existing, kind of along the line of the retaining wall. It might have moved in now. I understand that. But it seems like that was pretty close. Back then we were looking at some clumps of trees and wondering how close the retaining wall would be to those trees, as well as some down here, but it's a little hard to tell.
Can we just note that some of those trees, because this looks like this is probably, it's got to be 8 years old, 8 years ago or something like that. because that lawn has not been like that for the last 8 years at least. So since then, a lot of those trees have fallen and some of them are actually leaning towards the house, which is a concern. So they're no longer standing straight. They're all leaning towards the street because they're growing towards the sunlight, which sets in the west, which is towards the street.
And we'll have to double check with the exact design, Mike, but I think it's just the extension of the retaining wall, and those, what is left today in that area doesn't clear. The main concerns are the sumacs to the right-hand portion of the picture.
Yeah, one thing that's not clear is that curve in the retaining wall isn't shown here.
Yep.
I think it shows it being cut off there, but in the photos, it looks like there's a little curve, so it's a little hard to, and obviously there's no trees or grades or anything on this plan.
Yeah.
Where are we at with this? We moving on, or is?
I'm gonna drive by some point next week and just take a quick look for myself, since it has been a while.
Yeah, I'd like to probably get out this weekend, but I don't want to get the owner angry. If you see what I look like if I'm walking the property right now.
Just give me some notice, and as long as we know you're coming by, then I think we'll be fine with it.
Peter, you're on mute. Are you trying to?
Marked out.
It would be helpful if we could just have somehow some sort of marking to show where
Right, I was gonna say where things are.
things are. That's it. That's always helpful. That's
Well, what is this a discussion? Because
Yes,
you guys are thinking like you have a file before you. I think they're asking for our opinion of.
But well, it's true. I think you've gotten our opinion of what we think of the plan.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not anything I want to comment on at this point, other than what I've said, which I think is a stumbling block for this, which needs to have some, look into it. But, I mean, obviously there's problems with this. I don't know how much more you can say about it.
We can mark everything out. We can give you a detail about the retaining wall. If you need a discussion about how the shading's insignificant, we can discuss that with a supplement.
It's not just shading, don't you understand? There's a lot of things that make up the definition of alter. It's not just shading. There's a lot of factors to consider.
What else are we impacting in the wetland?
You're impacting the water temperature of the brook. You're impacting the environment for whatever's living down there.
There's no,
And actually, it's not up to me to tell you. It's up to you to tell me how you're going to prevent any alteration to the resource.
okay. Where do things currently stand with the RDA? The formal vote was a notice of intent is required?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that there was a vote and it was issued. Just wanted to check, thank you.
What do you mean, a vote right now? We didn't vote.
No,
right
in the
now.
last public hearing.
The last public hearing.
Yep,
was
Was it a vote or like just a recommendation? Or
I don't know that we voted. I don't think we did. Judy, you have the minutes available?
I'll try to find it. I think there was a vote, though. I think it was a vote for a positive. Do you know what date that was?
No, it would have been at least 2 meetings ago, I think.
yep, so this. And then it was a 4 stating that it's within the buffer zone and will alter an area subject to protection under the act. Therefore, said work requires filing of an NOI or ANRAD simplified review. Where's the June 1st?
Oh, so wait, we did,
Yep.
we did sign off on that.
Oh, that's all right.
All right, so there's a positive determination of applicability.
Yep.
Okay, so that answers that question.
Yep. No, we appreciate the time tonight, being able to show the updated design and getting feedback to what the commission's concerns are with the proposed activities.
So yeah, if you would, a few of us would like to take another look. But we would need some markings,
Yep.
stakes or something out there.
Yep.
Mark the wall would be a good reference point.
All right, are we done?
Proposed trees to be cut.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? From anybody? Do we want to go out as a group or just drive by individually, or we could set a date right now if you want. Tressa, you wanted to see it, right?
Yes.
Just looking at calendar. Is there an evening, Teresa, that works well for you next week?
I prefer Monday or Tuesday.
Right, Tuesday would work for me. Or anybody else want to join us? And what time works for you? 7?
Yeah, 6:32 would work, so it's up to you.
6:30 will work. All right, so that's Tuesday, the 13th. At 6:30. All right, so anybody else would like to join Teresa and myself? We'll plan on stopping by Tuesday at 6:30. 6:30. Is that okay with property owner?
I am just checking one quick schedule here. Just give me a second, because I do have Wakefield Senior League Baseball schedule. I'm trying to double check here. Just give me one quick second. I'm trying to pull that up. Where the heck is that? Let's see here. So on the 13th, I do have a game at 5:45, 6:45, 7. So I probably won't be here. So I'm at Sullivan Park at 5:45, well, technically 5 o'clock. So I couldn't do that. I am good for Wednesday, if you guys can do Wednesday.
Does Monday work for you?
Monday, I'm in Wilmington playing Wilmington Americans at
I
5:45.
mean, you don't actually need to be there for this. We're just gonna take a quick look ourselves. You're certainly, obviously welcome to join us.
Yep.
A lot of it, I think you can see from the cul-de-sac there.
Right. Tressa, does Wednesday work for you?
Um, if it's Wednesday, it should be 7.
Wednesday at 7?
Yep.
I could do that.
Okay.
So we good for Wednesday at 7?
That should work for me.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, very good.
Thank you for the time tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
guys on Wednesday.
All right. All right, next we have notification of utility maintenance activities. This is the national grid maintenance that we see every so often. Elaine, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a notification. They are exempt as a utility from the Wetlands Protection Act, but they follow the same protocols that they would follow if they were subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. They're going to be putting up erosion and sediment control barriers that'll stay in place until the work is finished and disturbed areas are stabilized. With regards to construction access, they're going to use the same access roads they've been using for years. If they have to go into a wetland area, they always put a mat on top of it. So that keeps the wetland from being churned up. And they take the mats out once the construction is finished. And so what happens is once they pull the mats up, the vegetation tends to just grow back out again. Anything that is disturbed, they stabilize. And they've done this for years and it seems to work out well.
Just for my information, what is the actual work that they do?
It depends on what's needed. They can work on poles or towers. They can do clearing around to access those structures.
Thank you.
I know they sent us a letter, but sometimes they actually send us a map of exactly the locations they're going to be in. And
That was for the spraying guides. That was for vegetation control with the, chemicals.
So I have the map. The map may be included in what Rebecca sent you, but
okay,
they're working along that major line that runs up through Reedy Meadow. They've got 16 locations there and, it's that major utility line in town.
Elaine, are they going on the railroad tracks?
No, this isn't railroad. This is
National Grid.
National Grid.
Oh. Can you put that picture up? Because I can't seem to get it out of my notes, out of my emails. And I'm not sure about what we're talking about.
If you let me, I have it up if you let me share, if you share my screen with me.
yeah, you can share it. You can go ahead, Teresa.
Can you see it? No? No, why can't you see it? I'm sorry, I'm not good at this. There we go. Can you see
Did you
it?
press the blue button on the bottom right that says share?
Oh. Sorry. You still no?
Yep.
It's
it's
there.
up.
Got it.
So. Oh, okay, so those are those are the telephone wires that they're showing. Okay. Those are the electric wires on the towers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the telephone line
Okay. I mistook it for
or the electrical line.
Yeah, 'cause it's not a telephone line. National Grid doesn't do telephones.
Yeah, right, electrical line.
Yeah,
So they could come in and replace some towers or posts or whatever
Right.
needs to be done.
okay. Sorry, when I first looked at it, it looked like railroad tracks.
Well, there are tracks that go through there that they're converting to the trail.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, the tracks go almost perpendicular to
yeah,
the,
almost perpendicular, right? Yep.
okay. Any further questions about that?
Oh,
All right. All right, next on the agenda is Heron Pond soil test results.
Okay, so I got the results of the soil testing for Heron Pond. And I have called and will go out and make an appointment with Steve Mangano with regards to fertilization. I'm sorry Frank wasn't here for this. It does note that the phosphorus on all the samples, the phosphorus is listed as very low, potassium low, calcium is fine, magnesium is very high, probably because they are using magnesium salts in the winter. But so I will set up an appointment with Mr. Mangano to go over, just make sure that he's got the location set and find out what exactly he's doing in terms of fertilizing. But they all show very low phosphorus, which is good because that keeps the algae blooms away from the pond if the phosphorus is somewhat low. So that's just the update. And I've got a list of areas here from a letter that I previously sent that shows where the locations are. And he got that in May of 2021. And I'll just go out and make sure that he's following the requirements in the letter. So that's the update.
Okay. All right, next up is review status of Lake Quannapowitt, the Zone A email that Rebecca had sent out last week.
Yeah, so I took a look at, the DEP is considering changing Lake Quannapowitt from its present status, which is like a water quality standard B, suitable for fishing and swimming, to a water quality standard A, zone A, which means it is a feeder to a water supply. So I don't think that has passed yet, but they are considering changing it. And that would include there's a stream that starts up in Reading. the Reading Canal. It includes all of Lake Quannapowitt and all of the area, a lot of the area around Reading
Boulevard.
Meadow, and then down into the, I guess it's called the Linfield Water Works. So today, when I had a chance, I looked up the standards for water supply. And basically what it would do is, from my reading, I want to just make sure that what I'm seeing is correct, because it would be quite a change for Lake Quannapowitt. It would make the use of Lake Quannapowitt the same as the way we use Crystal Lake, because that too is a water supply. So the same restrictions that are on Crystal Lake would now apply to Lake Quannapowitt, which would be quite a change for Lake Quannapowitt. So I think I want to do, I was kind of taken aback by the changes that this would cause to Lake Quannapowitt as a Zone A. So some of the things I noted that would be pertinent to this would be sewer lines and appurtenances are prohibited. So no new sewer lines. The one that's one of the ones I thought might impact us, which is why I want to do further checking. So this isn't finished yet. It talks about burials being made, new burials, except by permission in writing from the body of water commissioners or like body having jurisdiction over the water source supply in any cemetery or other place within 100 feet of the high water mark of the public water supply or a tributary. So of course, Quannapowitt has got a cemetery to the side of it. That could be very impactful. No person shall swim, wade, or bathe in it. No one shall fish in it, either go out in any boat or other vehicle, or enter on the ice for any purpose, which I thought would be very impactful because of Quannapowitt's use as a recreational facility. So I think that would be the biggest change.
Would that, the yacht club couldn't exist?
Well, that's my concern. I was reading this at 6 o'clock this afternoon, and I want to double check everything. But from my reading, yes, you would treat Lake Quannapowitt like you would treat Crystal Lake, and you would have all the same requirements, uses, and prohibitions on Quannapowitt as you now have on Crystal Lake, which would be quite a change. The other thing is no person shall apply herbicides towards any reservoir or its tributary, which serves as a source of public water supply without a permit issued by DEP. But this does not apply to the application of algicides containing copper by the public water system, which is not really what we're talking here. So of course we have this algae problem in Lake Quannapowitt. So I've got to check further as to how this would impact it, but it would appear to me as if we're going to have some problems with algae treatment. And then there have to be a whole new series of zoning and non-zoning controls in that area. And the municipality has to submit adopted zoning or non-zoning controls. And then there are other restricted activities within the protection zone, one of which is, this would be impactful, land uses that result in rendering impervious of more than 15% or more than 20% with artificial recharge, or 25 square feet of any lot, whichever is greater, which may impact parcels such as 50 Quannapowitt. So that's what I was looking at this afternoon. So I've got to follow this further. I think we may be able to make comments to DEP.
Did
I
Rebecca
just
know-
want to run this down a little further, but the change, there would be some significant changes once Quantapowhat is turned over as a Zone A surface water supply.
Elaine, do you know, did Rebecca send it to anyone else in the town?
Say that again, Teresa. I do have trouble hearing you.
Did Rebecca send this to anyone else in the town?
Oh, no, because I just looked at this at about this afternoon when I came in, when it was on the agenda. So I thought, besides just noting the change, I wanted to see what the change signified, and I found this afternoon. So Rebecca and I have a common day next Thursday. I have sent this information to her on Tuesday, and I think we need to talk some more among other people in town about the significance of this change. So I'm just letting you know, but I'm definitely going to pursue this.
Can I just point out the public comment period was in 2019? That's when they
Okay.
looked for comments on it. They said they
All
would
right.
still take comments, but it looks like they're putting it through this summer.
Well, then, we're going to have quite a change on Quantapowhat. We just discovered it because when Bill Renault put in his stormwater plan for Lake Quantapowhat, this popped up. And we weren't notified specifically about this, and that's when we discovered this application had occurred, this change had occurred.
So I'm sorry, Judy, did you say this change has already occurred, even though this,
No, it's scheduled to happen this summer.
Okay, so Judy, you're a little ahead of this than me.
so, and didn't this come up because DEP commented on the work being done for the
Pickleball court.
yeah, that's how
Yes,
Bill Renault was very upset by it, right?
yes,
So
that's how we discovered it.
that's how it was discovered.
Yes.
But Judy, you make it sound like it's a done deal, which is different than what the email that Anna Mayor says.
Well, the documentation that I saw looked like they were implementing it this summer because it started back in 2019.
No, I see that from the email that Rebecca forwarded on to us. But she says, please note that although the public comment period has passed, the public is welcome to comment.
Right, right. Oh, you can still comment, absolutely.
It won't do anything, but you can.
I don't know how you handle all the things that are already there. You know, you get the ball field, you've got the cemeteries, you've got,
Right, but it would be moving forward,
so
There would be new
everything
projects.
existing would be grandfathered?
I would imagine. I don't know how else they would do it.
I
I
mean,
don't know how else they do that either.
but wouldn't you have to ban boating on the lake,
You definitely would have to ban boating on the lake.
even if it's wind powered?
Yeah, it would be the same as Crystal Lake. You can't do
Yeah.
anything. No fishing, nothing.
Yeah, but I read there's a possibility of getting variances. So I'm wondering if they're gonna
Probably.
handle that with the variance in some way to, allow these things to happen, because you've lost all the recreational value at Quantapowhat.
Well, that's sort of the kind of information I'm trying to run down, is to find out what, if and how we do qualify for variances, or how much of a change it's going to be.
Hey, can someone send me this email from Rebecca, because I can't find it on my phone.
It came on June
I
30th.
got it, Bob. I'll forward it back to, Jimmy, I'll forward it to you, Rena.
So I don't,
All right, on its way.
thank you. How come I don't have it yet?
They have public hearings, one in Boston and one in Worcester, so conveniently located. So Elaine, is it fair to say you need to do more digging in this before we can?
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to continue to dig away at this and figure out what the implications are.
So Elaine, because
there
you
you
don't
go.
have any meeting, again, can we have this by the next meeting?
Yes, I'll have that for the next meeting.
Hey, Jimmy,
Yeah.
I guess our water skiing days on Quinnipiac are probably over.
Yeah.
You broke up the band.
I
That would be
skied
a
on,
frightening thought. Thank
One-
goodness. That's
one and done.
probably, that might have been what moved them to make a move. The thought that, that you might, rejuvenate your
Hey, both Jimmy and I have water skied on that lake.
I have water skied on that.
I have too.
Yeah.
Not recently, I'll say.
I gotta say, Elaine's thought, putting it, we were saying, what does it mean to be a Class A waterway? Just the very thought, the one sentence, it means that it would have about this, it would have to be treated the same as Crystal Lake. That just says it all right there.
Yeah.
That's like saying it in one sentence. You don't have to, it'll be just like Crystal Lake, no one sees it, no one goes near it.
I pass it twice a day on the train.
That's right. We're right. It doesn't almost bisects it, doesn't it? I mean, there's water on both sides of the track, isn't there?
Well, only in bad, in flooding conditions, really.
Yeah. And do you notice that the tracks tilt a little bit? The train sort of is at a funny angle.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm thinking.
Hey, Ken, I still didn't get it. Never mind, it's late anyways. Oh, wait a minute, I might have got it now.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah, I
the
got it.
alert, Jimmy.
I got it. Thank you.
Yep. All right, is DEP gonna give us any updates, or are we reaching back out to them?
I don't know. They never informed us. We never got a letter as a town about any of this. They never informed us directly. So I don't know the answer to that question either. That's one of the next bits of information I want to find out about.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
Yeah, I wonder what that means for street runoff,
Yeah,
all those points of storm drain discharge.
I don't know why they wouldn't want to allow cleanup of the lake, because that's the water that's gonna go into the drinking water supply, right? You got dirty water going into that supply the way it is now, and then you're not allowing anyone to do anything to fix it. I don't know, doesn't seem like the right.
If anything, it'll become worse because the town won't be able to make the improvements that they planned around the lake.
Right, yeah, right.
New drainage infrastructure. So if anything, it'll make it worse.
I mean, all right, what's left on the agenda?
So next, review, vote if amended, standard order of conditions.
So Rebecca sent us an email back on June 1st, pointing out provisions that should be added in perpetuity.
Yeah, she highlighted red and red conditions, or changed the font to red. Those are the ones that she had pointed out, I guess.
I don't have that email either. What the heck?
Yeah, she changed the font color to red of everything does remain in perpetuity, or that she was suggesting a change to. It's like there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 9 or 10 of them. Looks like 10.
Are you looking at the email that you sent on June 1st, Bob?
The one that lists all the conditions.
Yeah, 'cause it's not read on mine.
Not
Yeah.
right on mine either.
I have a hard copy I printed out that I've had on my desk here.
And there were that many.
So it lists all the standard order, all the conditions, and then she highlighted, like I said, the 9 conditions, and then has a note about number 64.
Huh.
Adding the ones that she thinks should be in perpetuity.
Oh, there'll be a numbering mistake. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm looking at the, I'm sorry. If I can find this email, I'll forward it. I printed it out too. I'll forward it to.
Ken, can you send me that email as well about the condition?
I already did, but also the one that's marked in red actually is June 10th.
Okay.
The one that's June 1st does not have red writing. So Jimmy, I'm sending you both. So I sent you one, but ignore the first email, look at the second email. June 10th email has the one with the red on it.
Yeah, there's 2 of them on the 10th. The notes for reviewing NOIs, and then the review of the standard order of conditions.
So it's attached to the review of standard order conditions.
Yep.
So look at that one, Therese.
Thanks. Yeah, I am. And I'm printing it, as you probably can hear.
Do you want to just read them off or?
I don't have them in front of me, so I have to
or
tell me what they're saying.
Well, can you just send it to Jimmy, or?
Yeah, it's the second email I sent to Jimmy. So yes, I did send it to him.
All right, so Jim, it's on its way. I won't send it also.
Elaine, do you have that?
I do. I have it sitting in front of me.
Okay, I have it. Thank you.
Not the email that says importance, it's the other one.
So what are we doing right now?
So we're looking at the ones in red to determine whether we think those should be in perpetuity, Jimmy.
Okay. Starting with 29.
Correct.
Yes.
I mean, it already states that it shall exist in perpetuity.
Right, 29 already does, right, so,
So the question is, should it, I guess?
okay.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, it already says in perpetuity, that's fine.
Yeah, and it looks, I mean, it should. You want a new owner to maintain whatever infiltration system exists on the property.
Right, and each stuff, yeah, that seems like it should be, that's good.
Yep.
So now let's go to the next one. The next one is
40.
40.
Before you go to 40, can I ask a quick question? The inspection points on the infiltration system, is that something that we require for every system?
What number is that, Ken?
That was back at 29. I'm just wondering, the inspection points for an infiltration system, is that something that we always require? Is that something common? Is that like tied
We
to
don't,
a
we don't
size?
always require it.
Okay. Okay, we don't have to talk about it. I just wonder. I've only seen it once or twice.
So the next one is 40.
Yeah.
Well, that should be there. That's already there. That should be ongoing. So she crossed out 50 and put 51, right? So if everyone agree 40 should be there.
Wait a minute, hang on. Still looking at 40.
You on 40 now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not so sure about 40.
Why should that be perpetual?
Well, I don't know that we want to be that specific. No fertilizer shall be used within 25 foot of a resource area. What if it's a low nitrogen fertilizer? What if it's a natural low nitrogen fertilizer?
Well,
What if it's manure? Is that considered fertilizer?
your issue is not that the perpetuity part. Your issue is with the condition in general, then, Bob.
Yes. If somebody puts manure down in a garden that's within 25 feet, that's fertilizer.
It is fertile. Elaine, what do you think of this condition?
I think we might want to change, if you want to do that, you might want to change it and split it between pesticides and fertilizers and have two conditions, one for pesticides and one for fertilizers. And the other question is, do you really want a fertilizer that close to a water body when you have all these algae blooms, which are becoming more and more of a problem with ever increasing heat? So that's two different questions. That's two different questions.
Right. I mean, obviously near the lake or something, clearly you would not want to be getting fertilizer making its way into Lake Quannapowitt or Crystal Lake. Especially knowing the conditions now with Quannapowitt.
Oh, yeah, that's, you know what? you know what? Let me check number 40 and see how these new regulations are going to impact that. We may need a whole other set of conditions for work within a
Zone
certain
A.
distance of Lake Quantapowhat and have that its own set of conditions.
Yes.
And that may impact this. That's a good point.
But that zone A extends all the way up to like Foster's Lane, that area,
Yeah, it's like 400 feet. It's big.
right?
It's
Now, how many
big.
houses you
So
have?
it's not just
within
like
that?
Quantapowhat.
Oh, yeah, well, it's Lake Quantapowhat. And yes, that street, those streams that feed into, where is it? But yes, you're right, Judy. It isn't just Quantapowhat. Here, let me pull it. It's Quantapowhat plus the Saugus River as it comes down, the area around the Reading Canal. And then I think, I can't quite tell where the line is here, but there's a feeder stream, and I'm not sure if any part of it is in Wakefield or not, if the whole thing's in Reading, but maybe what we should have is a whole section of conditions that say, you know, if you live in a certain area, these conditions apply to you.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could have 200 houses that fall within this
Yeah.
condition.
I think Pam Boulevard falls within this class A,
Right, it does.
Yeah, could, yep.
and that's all houses there. Plus you got the traffic from the street, from the highway. And they're pollutants.
So, all right, so maybe for 40, we would have separate conditions for zone A, and we'll have to get back to that. But what if you're not in zone A, how do you feel about this?
I mean, I still think it needs to be reworded or rethought out.
Okay, how do you feel about the first sentence, which is just pesticides? Maybe we should separate these into two different conditions. How do you feel about the pesticide portion of it?
I guess I'd have to do a little research on that. I mean, are there such things as natural pesticides like milky spores that interrupt, the grub life cycle? Is that considered a pesticide? I don't know. People use Grub-X all over the place.
Does the state have any standards for working in a class A water body?
Well, yeah, yes, they would have to follow the surface water quality standards.
But we're not talking about that right now, Jimmy. We're talking
Right.
if you're not in.
But this condition does say
Right, but-
must be used in conformity with the product label and state law. So I guess what is the state law on this?
Isn't it usually on the side of the container?
Well, the product, the application directions would be, but every
But
state.
not,
be
every
different.
state is different.
Yeah.
But if you hire so if you are required to hire an applicator, and if you are required, to hire an applicator, the applicator would know. But for the average homeowner who goes out and buys a can of something or a container of something at Lowe's,
Right,
he doesn't know what state law is.
exactly. I don't know. I think this whole condition needs to be thought about. This could be an entire discussion just in this one condition.
I agree.
Do you have a condition like this in Winchester?
Yeah, and it reads the same way. Now I'm rethinking Winchester,
So we probably took it from you.
maybe. Maybe. It sounds a lot like ours.
I mean, the other thing is that it probably makes sense to take a look at all the conditions. I mean, Rebecca just pointed out things that she thought should be in perpetuity. And that's all we were gonna look at tonight.
All right, so maybe that's a good start to just do this tonight and then look at the rest of them another time. We can cull this out, at least get this done, and then maybe take a look at the rest of them. Maybe if we do like 10 a meeting or something, we'll have a chance to just
Right.
make sure everything's in good order. So, okay, so number 40. So what exactly do you want? I'm not suggesting how it should be rewritten, but what information do you want me to get so you can make a decision?
Well, what is the state law, I guess, on pesticides? I'd be curious, besides, Winchester's, what other towns have for a condition similar to this? Reading, Linfield, or whatever. Just to see.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I think we're being too specific in some cases and maybe not specific enough in others on this condition.
Okay.
I think it needs some work.
All right. And what about the fertilizer part?
I mean, I feel the same way about that one. If a gardener is putting manure down in his garden, and he's next to a swamp or something, is that considered a fertilizer? Is that an issue? I don't know. I think we
Okay.
need to think about this one also.
What's the
Okay.
definition?
All right. So I'll find out what I can find out about pesticides and find out what I can find out about fertilizers, look at other towns. And when I've collected the information, bring it back and you'll have enough, you'll have more than you have now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like
All
that.
right. All right.
All right, 51 is the next one in red. No unsuitable material of any kind may be buried, placed, or dispersed. Stumps, roots, trash, debris, etc.
That should be, that should be perpetual.
Yeah, so I guess one of my concerns about that is, I bet if you look at any house being built, there is debris from the contractors building that house that's being buried on the property.
They don't do that anymore.
You sure about that?
Unless your guys in New Hampshire are.
No, but I'll tell you, every time I dig a hole around this house, every time in Wakefield I dig a hole, I find something.
That's illegal and you not find a contractor doing that.
When was
Yeah.
your house built, Bob? When was your house built?
93 and 94.
Oh, that's what? The 90s.
The wild 90s. Everything went. But I mean, I find hunks of lumber and
Wow.
nail strips and, yeah.
My house was built in 1898. None of that. Really, none of that.
No, people picked
Everybody
up
had
after
wooden
themselves back
pegs.
then.
They would burn down houses to recover the nails, right? I think that's what they did. I think that's what they did when people moved out west. They built something, and then when they decided to move further west, they burn it down and recover the metal.
Yeah, I've found all kinds of stuff in my yard. But yes, I think it's fine. Number 51.
Yes, and 52. Is the next
Yes.
52, yes, that should continue. 54, yes. 55, yes.
Read.
Jesus, you're a fast reader.
I'm sorry, that's what I do for a living. I get paid by the 10th of an hour.
You get paid by the letter?
By the, no, not by the letter.
I can't keep up with you.
So hang on 55, we have gas stations with tanks within 100 feet of resource areas.
We have sheds with gas, right?
I mean, we got full-blown gas stations.
Yeah, within the resource wetland area, you don't mention buffer zone. Do you?
Well, let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, within a 100-foot buffer. I
do
mean, there's
have
a
it within the
head of the
buffer.
lake. You got the, what's
Well-
that gas station, at the head of the lake?
This is not meant, I mean, this is not meant for that kind of thing. It's meant for, a different kind of thing that comes before us that says, but, building a new house, you can't do this then. I think what this has shown us is that with every, we really have to scour the standard order of conditions to make sure to put in what's applicable and then delete things that are not applicable, right? I mean, but in general, isn't this a good statement for non-gas stations?
People put propane tanks in the ground.
Yeah, if you build a new house, like I have an old house, it's heated with oil and there's a tank in my basement. And if I were within 100 feet of a resource area, would I be able, and I wanted to build a new house with an oil tank, unlikely, but would I be able to put an oil tank in my basement?
Not if, right, according to this, you wouldn't if it was a 100-foot buffer zone.
Yeah, yeah. Or a propane tank. People are still using propane.
Right, and they.
But how's propane gonna,
What?
how is propane gonna affect the wetland?
It's
There's a
an underground
propane leak.
storage of fuel, oil.
Right, but if it's a propane leak, it just,
Isn't it classified as a
vapor.
hazardous substance?
no.
Yeah, that's why it's written as hazardous substance.
It's an explosive too. So again, are we being too specific here or not specific enough?
Did you want to delete or within the 100-foot buffer zone, Bob?
I'm not sure. I mean, again, if you have a propane tank that's underground, that is a violation of this.
Do
And
they
to
put
Elaine's
pro-
point, every
do
one
they
of us has an oil tank in our basement,
I don't.
except for Judy. She has gas.
Yeah, so do I.
But most of us in New England have oil tanks in our basements.
But I think this condition mainly came about because of swimming pools. To be sure people weren't going to heat with oil. I don't know if that was the thing at one point.
Yeah, I mean, we did have one house I do recall they wanted to do that with.
We have one in Montrose Woods.
Yeah. So I think this condition needs to be reworded.
To say what, Bob?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Leave it up to your, the legalese people to figure that out. But think about it. I mean, oil tanks in your basement, propane tanks, in the backyard.
Well, I know that I have a gas cans in my shed, which is located within a buffer zone.
So maybe,
Oh,
If
yeah.
your gas can spills, it's not going to spread across a large area. But if an oil tank leaks, then that could be a more risk of contamination.
Right, but where do you draw the line? If somebody's got
Yeah, where do you draw the
25
line?
gallons of fuel in their shed, and that goes into the soil, you have to actually, what's the limit that you have to report? How many gallons? There is a release threshold that you have to report.
Mm.
And it's not that much,
well, LSP is not here tonight.
right? I don't know. This is just another one of those conditions that I think we need to be careful with, and I think it needs to be reevaluated.
So is this the type of thing where just change it for every different situations? Do you need to change the blanket statement? Or do you just think about it according to the project?
For Wakefield, it's probably hard to even meet any of these standards of 100 feet. I mean, it's got to be almost impossible. Look what we're dealing with now. It's 20 foot. It does need some help.
Well, that's why if you just delete within the 100-foot buffer zone, that makes it better, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then how do you enforce this stuff?
Right.
People have this stuff inside their house. You can't go in their house and look
Well,
for.
You could say no new unless it's being a replacement. I mean, that's one way you can do it. But again,
Hmm.
Right, but it's attached to an order of conditions, so unless you have an order of conditions, it's not going to be applicable.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
What comes before us. And
Right,
what-
but is it even a reasonable condition the way it's worded?
yes, I don't think, the thing is, who would think of doing this?
I mean, everybody's got a can of gas in their garage for their lawnmower. Let's get an electric lawnmower.
This is like saying, it's like expounding on what the Wetlands Protection Act does and says, but don't forget, you can't do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I mean, you could go on and on about things you can't do.
Well, that's kind of my point about this condition.
Right, no, I agree with you, Bob. No, I agree with you. So maybe we should just strike it.
I mean, I get the intent, but the delivery is not correct.
Okay, so I think we should move on.
I'm gonna put a big question mark next to 55.
And do what with it, though?
I'm not sure
I don't-
yet.
I know.
I don't
All
know
right,
what we do.
think about it another week? Okay.
Elaine, do you have a condition like this in Winchester?
I don't think so.
So Elaine, could you do,
No.
can you do
I
the
don't-
same thing we asked you to do with the other one? Check around to see what,
Sure. Okay.
that would be helpful. How's that? I agree, we need to come to some resolution.
Yeah, I mean, we need something that's reasonable, enforceable, and logical.
All of those things.
And this is none of those.
You might have to say something like, it can't be within 25 feet of a resource area, or something that ties it in with what we're using for setbacks.
Right, but where do you draw the line, Jimmy? This says no above ground or underground storage of fuel, oils, gasoline, or other hazardous substances.
So add to that within the 25-foot no disturb area. I mean, that to me is a reasonable thing to say, or something that you could easily check to be enforceable too. And it goes with the regulation, it goes with our order.
So it's within the 100-foot buffer zone, we say within the 20.
The 100-foot buffer zone, I don't think is practical because,
No, I agree. No, we agree, Jim.
yeah,
But not all properties have the 25 or 20-foot no disturb.
well, they also don't have a 100-foot either.
Right.
So, I mean, at least for the things that we can control, it's not perfect, but. I
And
mean,
somebody's got a shed in their backyard with a lawnmower.
well, they might have to move the shed out of the 25-foot no disturb. I mean, we can't even stop them from cutting down trees. I don't know.
All right, well, let's revisit 55. We'll see what Elaine comes back with if there's another similar condition in local towns. All right, 57.
57, we talk about all the time, that it seems like we have to look at 57 for every order of conditions we issue.
And that's another ridiculous one because,
Right.
I mean, look at the size of the lot in Wakefield,
Yeah.
you know, so that kind of limits what you can do.
I mean, I think we could consider making it 25 feet instead of 100.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. I mean, someone might say you're not giving it the best protection you can, but I think you probably give it the more realistic protection.
Well, I guess the question is, should they be a different standard for commercial property?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we have hearings anyways, is because
Right.
certain project, there's no project alike, and one project might require something different from the other. So we modify that condition for that lot, for that project, I would think.
Okay, so 57, you want to individualize?
Yes, but it should
I
survive,
think a lot of these you might have to,
right? But again, to Rebecca's point, 57 should go on in perpetuity.
what about,
Once we correct it.
I didn't hear you, Teresa, what would you
I
say?
said, Rebecca's point was, shouldn't this one be included in perpetuity?
Oh,
Yes, it should be, but it does need to be either
Right.
it should be in perpetuity.
site specific or adjusted.
Right.
So maybe we, in the, for Elaine and Rebecca's sake, we put a provision in saying needs to be, project specific.
Yeah,
We
but
have-
all of these are in theory, right?
At the end of each order of conditions, we have conditions special to this project. So we could take number 57 and get rid of it where it is and add it on to conditions special to this project. And then we could individualize it for each project.
I think you can almost do that to 55 too.
55.
We just have to remember to think about it for every project. That's all.
Okay.
That's a big ask.
It is.
Okay.
So
All right.
if it stays in place as is, or for perpetuity, at the very least, if we don't address it, at least there'll be that protection.
Mhm.
How about 58? Do we dare go on?
Well, that one I think we got right.
Yeah.
10 feet is not unreasonable.
Yeah. I think that one's okay.
Yeah, so that one should go, okay. And then the last one is 60.
Now this one you could keep 100 feet, I think.
You could or could not, Jim?
I think you could leave it because it's a well. It's not like, you can almost drill a well right next to the house without causing any harm. But so if you want to keep 100 feet away, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Do we have projects that come in front of us asking to to drill irrigation wells?
I don't recall ever seeing one.
What, a well?
Somebody coming before us asking to put a well in.
Yes, we had one that wanted to do, he wanted to use the water to heat his house. He's gonna
Oh, geothermal.
geothermal.
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
do it.
What?
He didn't do it. It was too expensive.
Okay. And we've had people put wells in for gardens.
Okay. Thank you.
Not,
I mean,
were
100
they
feet.
permitted through conservation?
They didn't go through conservation.
No,
I've seen people put wells in though.
yeah.
Got one right next door.
But this makes sense. You'd have to file a notice of intent rather than people just freelancing.
Yeah, so only somebody who has an order is gonna see that condition, obviously. Anybody who
Right.
just wants to put a well in isn't gonna know.
Well, just like anyone has to know about the Wetlands Protection Act, you can't do anything within 100 feet of the wetlands, right? I mean, about same thing. How many things are you gonna spell out that you can't do? Right.
Teresa, what did you say about ignorance of the law? Didn't you mention that at the last meeting?
It's no excuse. Right, exactly. Everyone is you're on judicial notice that you have to comply with the law. Right, exactly. It's like, how many times are you gonna say it?
Don't wells fall under Board of Health in some way?
Yes, yes, they do.
For irrigation, really?
I don't know. I think they do now because people tend to go out of control with them. So I think they clamp down on
I
it.
mean, drinking water definitely, but I don't know about irrigation.
I didn't know they were doing that because I know that they didn't track wells at all.
They do have a list of wells. They do track them.
So that should be in perpetuity,
Yeah, we can leave that, I guess.
and that's it. So we're done with that.
Kind of.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
okay. We're done for
55,
tonight. Right.
40 and 55 still are, we need some research on.
Yes. Thank you, Elaine, for doing that.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
And you're gonna give that to, again, I have a hard time, because I know you guys alternate. So you'll give that to Rebecca, and Rebecca will report on it?
yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
All right, there's still two items listed under old business. I don't know if we want to continue talking about these or move them to the next meeting. The next is the review of the tree policy, and lastly is a review of the 25-foot no disturb policy.
Didn't we decide last time that there's no separate policy for the no disturb policy? It's just embedded in the tree policy?
There was a vote taken, I think it was in 2010, to have
It's
a
not on the website, though.
setback policy. No, Rebecca was gonna talk to the communications person about putting it on there. So I don't know if that, she may have done that, but that person has been on vacation. So it may just be a transit thing. Maybe in process.
Where is the exact wording on that one located? Is it on the website?
No, it isn't.
It's not on the website.
All right, where do we find it?
It's in the minutes somewhere. I don't know if Rebecca found it. It was from either like 2009 or 2010.
oh,
All right,
I
so-
have a copy of that. Wait a minute, if you guys want it, I can't get it to you now, of course, but I happen to have scotch taped it to the back of my notebook. It was approved in July of 2017, and I have the whole thing.
All right,
So
so
I
why don't
I
we-
can scan it and send it to all of you for the next meeting.
yes, sounds good.
Okay, okay.
So we'll talk about that one in the next meeting. That's the 25-foot no disturb, correct?
Right, but, and the tree policy is up on the, that's on the website.
Yes.
Ken, can you pull that up?
Sure.
And that one we took pretty much from Winchester, I believe.
No, I don't think that was from Winchester.
You know, this 25-foot, I remember going back all the way to, I think it was Beechwood Estates where this started to come up. And the idea was that if you had a tree, a good sized tree, and you cut it within 25 feet of a wetland, you cut the branches that would overhang the wetland, thereby exposing that wetland to all the changes that the sun would bring, which is why you figured 25 feet. Because it took care of the branches of a mature tree that would overhang a wetland. And that's kind of how it started way back in the day.
Ken, can you click on the tree removal policy?
Can I click on what?
The tree removal policy. You see it right there?
This is it. Oh, you can't see it right now?
We can't see it, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been looking at it just. All right, let me try again.
We saw the web page, but not the actual link.
Sorry, my PDF was in front, but I guess it didn't follow me.
There it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And Jimmy, there's a nice description of presumptive ecological value of trees listed.
Yeah, and I have to disagree that a buffer zone is the buffer zone is definitely jurisdictional. pretty good.
It is good.
But where is the replacement in board feet?
That particular requirement shows up in the order of conditions and not in the tree policy.
Payments is
Oh,
down
there it
here.
is, $10 per linear foot,
Oh, it is in there.
tree
Okay,
mitigation requirement and conditions.
okay.
Any tree with a diameter 6 inches or more shall be replaced per linear foot.
So I have a question. In this case, the Stony Hill, will that apply?
The greater than 6 inches,
Well, greater than 6 inches, it talks about replacements. Does everything apply? Okay. So other removal requests such as cutting trees less than 6 inches must be reviewed and approved.
and then if they can't replace it, if it's not practical, then there's a payment penalty,
So does that apply to Stony Hill?
possibly.
Yeah, we haven't determined that.
We don't know if they're greater than 6 inches.
Okay,
We don't know what's coming down. We don't know if they're actually providing canopy.
yeah.
So I think this policy looks good.
What was the question about the policy?
Just to review it,
Just to look at it, yeah.
Okay.
So I think we just should talk about the 25-foot for our next hearing. Next meeting, I mean. And by that time, Elaine will have sent it to us all.
yes.
So are we good with the tree policy as is?
Yeah, wait a minute.
So there is a bullet that says a vote by the commission will be required for removal of any live tree within a jurisdictional area. I don't know that we've always voted on
It's
tree
virtually
removals.
never voted on.
Well, there is,
I mean, we've approved or disapproved, but I don't know that we've truly voted on the tree.
Have we given
So,
delegated
it
to,
says what-
have we delegated to our, don't we delegate that to our agents? to
They
go
can
out?
make that, yes, the bullet before it. They can make that call.
yeah,
I thought that's what we normally did, you know, Elaine goes out and gives it the up of thumbs down, or brings anything questionable to our attention.
We've had property owners come to us though for tree or multiple tree removals before. That Elaine or Rebecca have told them they need to come to the commission. But I don't know that we voted.
No, you don't usually. You used to do that. Because there was a tree count that was kept, because so many people were requesting tree removals. That I think it was when Rebecca first started, she kept a spreadsheet. So you could see trends in different neighborhoods. So it did used to be vote, you always did vote on it.
but we haven't lately.
No. But where there are so many more trees being removed, maybe it's something you want to think about.
I mean, the next bullet does say following either a site visit or vote, a letter or email of approval or denial will be issued.
Right, which is what's done now.
Right,
Maybe we change will to may.
That's a good idea.
may be required, yes.
Good idea.
Good legal change.
Hmm.
Was that a tenth of an hour or?
No, and that was no charge, no charge.
I think that makes sense, though. A vote by the commission may be required.
Yeah, because the next bullet is either one or the other, right? Yeah.
Yes,
You may want to scan the whole document just to make sure it's applicable elsewhere.
there might be more mays that have to be put in there. Shalls and mays. We get up Peter and Teresa scan it and see what comes out.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, picking out all the wills.
Okay,
Wills, mays, and shalls.
All right.
Teresa, you want to run through this in your leisurely time and see what you think?
Yeah, I will. And again, it's helpful to know that what we do and do not do. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess Bob thinks that since you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, that you need, something to look at.
I know.
well, I was hoping Teresa's rate would be cheaper than Peter's.
I think it might be actually. I work at a much smaller firm than you does.
All right, so you guys will check that over and see if there's anything else that should be modified.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Elaine, do you have anything else?
just a question. The 25-foot no disturb zone, is that to remain as is?
So you're gonna scan the
It
what
was
you have in your
voted on
notebook.
before- It was voted on before 2017. That wasn't, maybe you voted on it again, but the original vote was long before that.
Right, Elaine's gonna scan us what the actual verbiage is so we can see it and see if we want to make any adjustments.
Okay. And I'll put it on for the next agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay, Judy.
Nope, all set.
Okay, anybody else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a sec? Peter's woken up. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. Savannah,
I think she, did she leave?
Nope, she's on mute.
she's there. She's.
I think she's muted.
No, she's not.
She said. it
Now
was
she is.
that-
No.
she
All right,
doesn't feel good.
Savannah, how do you vote to adjourn?
I can see her.
Yes.
Okay, Teresa,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yes.
I think I get everybody. And I also vote to adjourn.